Veni Creator Spiritus, mentes tuorum visita, implesso per
First time, the readings I always share with you are the readings that have been used for so many centuries and that are still used today in the traditional Latin Mass. From the first letter of Blessed Paul the Apostle to the Corinthians. Brethren, let us not covet evil things, as they also coveted. Neither become ye idolaters, as some of them. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink, and rose up to play. Neither let us commit fornication, as some of them committed fornication, and there fell in one day 23,000. Neither let us tempt Christ, as some of them tempted, and perished by the serpents. Neither do you murmur, as some of them murmured, and were destroyed by the destroyer. Now all these things happened to them in figure, and they are written for our correction, upon whom the ends of the world are come. Wherefore he that thinketh himself to stand, let him take heed lest he fall. Let no temptation take hold on you, but such as is human. And God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that which you are able, but he will make also with temptation issue, that you may be able to bear it. From the translation of the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke. At that time when Jesus drew near to Jerusalem, seeing the city, he wept over it, saying, If thou also hadst known, and that in this thy day, the things that are to thy peace, but now they are hidden from thine eyes. For the days shall come upon thee, and thine enemies shall cast a trench about thee, and compass thee round, and straiten thee on every side, and beat thee flat to the ground, and thy children who are in thee. And they shall not leave in thee a stone upon a stone, because thou hast not known the time of thy visitation. And entering into the temple, he began to cast out them that sold therein, and them that bought, saying to them, It is written, My house is the house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves. And he was teaching daily in the temple. As usual, there's so much, so many different graces and things that could be talked about in here, but I want to just focus on one aspect in particular, where St. Paul tells us in the letter to the Corinthians, he says, God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted above that which you are able, but will make also with temptation issue, that is, he'll provide for you, like issuing you a weapon or issuing you tools. He'll make issue, he'll never let you be tempted above that which you're able with his grace, so that you may be able to bear it. And right before that, he says, let no temptation take hold on you, but such as is human. I'm not going to comment too much on that, but I think that's referring to don't put yourself in a situation of temptation, or don't give in and pursue it. That is, that our human condition after the fall of Adam and Eve is such that all of our life, we're part of this spiritual battle, is going to be temptation that will come in different ways. You want to eat 10 pieces of chocolate cake even though you know that's not good for you, but that temptation comes, or you want to punch the person next to you even though you shouldn't at a given moment. So these things will come, but I think saying don't put yourself in a situation of temptation, or don't pursue something to where you're cooperating with that temptation, building and putting yourself in a more dangerous situation. But especially this phrase that he will not, this truth, we know it's absolutely true, 100% true. God will not let you be tempted of that which you're able. And that means right now, for every single aspect of your life, and temptation in the sense we usually think of it, or temptation in the sense of trials and difficult situations, you don't know what to do. Every single one of those situations, God is making issue. You can't see it. He's not handing you something physically, but he is offering your soul all the tools or weapons you need, everything you need to be able to live without any sin whatsoever. Every single one of those situations. But we often don't make an act of faith in that. And so I want to share with you briefly, in a way that's anonymous and people far away and with no details, there's no way you would know these situations, but real situations, to give you a couple of examples. I'm thinking of a teenager who had fallen into a pattern of serious sin, and sins that the teenagers can fall into, was a serious pattern, was unable to break free for some time. And then but God, of course, was offering him issue. He didn't know this, but he hadn't been saying yes. Well, the time came when the teenager finally began to take some steps in just basic aspects of his Catholic life he should have been taking in terms of cooperating with God's grace through some daily prayer and so forth, returning to confession more regularly. And he was able to break free for good, last I know, from years now, from that pattern of sin, completely break free. And so how did this happen? Was there some miraculous apparition? And he thought, wow, okay, no, I'm stronger. No, that didn't happen. But he said yes to the issue, in this case, to a life of some daily prayer, a steady program of daily prayer, to confession. In this particular case, to break free, he decided for some weeks he was going to take a cold shower every day, which was his way of offering up a penance and a suffering to God, cooperating with his grace, and some other things like that, and then was able to break free for good. So there wasn't some miraculous intervention, but he cooperated with the issue that God was giving him and then was able to break free for good. Or another example of a wife who, in some difficult moments in their marriage, would at certain moments feel, even though she knew this wasn't true, but feel, I don't know how to make this work, how to go on, so forth, but who would always make sure some point before going to sleep, would always, in a very simple way, pray and say, look, my Lord, Jesus, please give me the strength to be able to love my spouse as I should, or get through whatever this particular thing was. And that simple but very sincere prayer, she found that God always answered. And in fact, she did have the grace to be able to act virtuously as she should. And last I know, that marriage was still going quite well. And another example, because sometimes the issue isn't that we can stay right where we are and conquer it, but God's saying, you've got to move. And that's sometimes what he's offering us. So thinking of examples, I was trying to think of an example from religious life or priesthood, but examples like that of people I've known, thinking of someone in particular, where the way to be faithful to God meant they had to leave in a very painful way for them, leave the situation they were in, and to be able to follow God. And then that's where so it was being willing to let go of what was around them. And that can mean sometimes letting go of physical things or situations or people or objects, but also letting go of sometimes relationships, accepting that someone's now not going to like me, or this relationship has to change in one way or the other. So I offer those three examples, but what I'd invite you to do before I close this sermon, which is probably slightly longer than usual, but to think for a moment, think right now in your own life of situations where there are temptations, either in the usual sense we think of them, that are maybe very difficult for you right now, or temptation in the sense of trials or situations where I don't know how this is going to be resolved. Maybe even some of you are feeling extremely weighed down by the situation in the world, or the political situation, or the situation in the church. So whatever those situations are, where hopefully most of you, if someone asked you, you'd say, well, no, I believe God is all powerful and he can do all things. I know that. I know he can overcome these things. But in the concrete, we often don't, in this very concrete situation, or not often enough, say, I do believe that my Lord can give, in fact is giving, he's offering, he will offer me all the issue, all the strength or whatever it is that I need, whether that's moving, whether that's confronting it, whether that's holding fast peacefully, whatever it is, I believe in this situation, and this is just the truth, that right now, he knows that situation. He knows exactly how he wants to get you through it or pull you out of it, as the case may be. And so you can make that act of faith. Okay, I believe that right now I can't see you, but I know you're here, and I know that you know this situation, me, you have this perfect plan, you're going to offer me, you are offering me all the graces and strength I need. And so with Our Lady's help, I believe in you. Even if you might still, as Mother Angelica said, someone once found out that she was taking Maalox for her stomach, and they said, Mother, you're always talking about faith. Don't you have faith? And she said, well, yes, I do have faith, but my stomach doesn't know I have faith. And we're sometimes like that, where different things in us can be doing flip-flops, but we can still have faith. So God bless all of you. It's always a joy being able to pray with you. And I wish you a very blessed remainder of your Sunday. I'll look forward to praying the Rosary with you tomorrow. God bless you.